Imagine a stone corridor, 13 meters long, sealed for 5,000 years, suddenly opened. Inside, ivory, amber, seashells from the sea, and clues that rewrite how we picture prehistoric Spain. Stay with me, because what archaeologists found here changes everything we thought we knew about trade, ritual, and power in the 3rd millennium BC. This dramatic discovery comes from Teba, in southern Spain, a monumental dolmen measured at roughly 13 meters in length, one of the largest and best-preserved funerary structures uncovered in Andalusia this decade. But it's not just the size. The objects inside amber, ivory, marine shells, and weapons point to long-distance connections and elite burial practices previously only hinted at in this region. In short, this tomb is a time capsule, and its contents force us to ask, who were these people? And how far did their world stretch? Dolmens are megalithic tombs built from upright stone slabs called orthostats, capped by large horizontal stones, and then covered by earth. This one's internal structure contains several ossuaries and distinct burial compartments. Think of it like a collective tomb, where communities returned again and again, layering burials and offerings for centuries. Amber, possibly Sicilian or Mediterranean in origin. Ivory, not local. An exotic rarity. Marine shells from the coast, but this tomb sits inland. And a halberd-like weapon and arrowhead, signs of status or ritual. These objects tell a story. Either long-distance exchange networks connecting inland communities to coasts and island sources, or curated symbolic goods moved as gifts or prestige items. Why go to the trouble of placing marine objects far inland? Because in prehistoric belief systems, the sea often meant power, life, and otherworldly connections, carrying huge social meaning. Archaeologists are weighing interpretations. Was this a tomb for an emerging elite, a family or lineage displaying imported goods to signal status? Or was it primarily a ritual center, where offerings were deposited in ceremonies tied to agricultural cycles, celestial events, or ancestor worship? Complex internal compartments suggest repeated ritual activity rather than a single event. Here's the kicker. Some of the materials recovered are from regions hundreds of kilometers away, so whoever controlled access to these goods must have had broad social reach. That rewires how we imagine early power networks in Iberia. This dolmen sits within a landscape of other monumental sites, some older, some younger, but its scale and preservation make it a benchmark. It suggests organized labor, complex ritual practice, and networks of exchange already active around 3000 BC. Put another way, the people who built this were not isolated farmers. They were players in a web of prestige and belief that stretched across the Mediterranean and interior Iberia. Now the modern twist. Scientific techniques, isotopic analysis, micro-CT scanning, residue testing can tell us origins, diets, mobility, even whether objects were used in rituals or were purely symbolic. Researchers will likely be analyzing these finds for years. And sometimes the smallest object rewrites the story. A single bead could show that people in Teba had direct or indirect contact with Mediterranean exchange routes thousands of years ago. This 5,000-year-old dolmen is more than stones. It's a doorway into human lives we can barely imagine. Amber, ivory, and shells whisper of journeys, trade, and belief systems stretching across ancient seas and lands. If you want the follow-up, the lab results, DNA, or the one artifact that could flip our understanding, hit subscribe and ring the bell.